Okay, it is 10 o'clock. Okay. Calling to order the regular meeting of the Gillum County Court. A quorum has been established. All commissioners are present, and we will now have the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome. Are there any additions or revisions to the agenda? No. Okay. We will begin with 3.0 correspondence and public comment. First of all, I would like to ask Commissioner Wilkins if he is able to work with the city of Arlington on the incentive agreement.
Yes.
Would you be able to do that?
Yeah,
okay, take it from here and
see if we can come together and
great.
figure out what we need to do.
Okay, good. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We do have several items of public comment that are scheduled on the agenda, but we will begin with correspondence and public comment. Items of correspondence, we do not have any other correspondence that's in the packet right now. Is there any public comment present? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment? Anybody online? Okay. We will go with the 3.1 departmental update for library services. Mary Reeser, she online?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we got that $10,000 grant from American Library Association for our ADA doors. We got them all installed. We wrote a grant for the Ready to Read for the 26 calendar year, and that was submitted to county court a couple weeks ago. And I see it's also on the agenda. So, and we are working on a couple programs with Condon Arts Council. We're trying to get the Missoula Children's Theater back to Condon, and we're helping them do that, hopefully this fall.
That's great news.
And then I wanted to bring up the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. We've been partnering with the Arlington Friends of the Arlington Public Library since 2012, and we have served 194 children in Gillum County, ages 0 to 5, and since January of 2025, we have given out 538 books. And these books are mailed directly to the children's homes, and we just pay the postage for them. And that's about average since 2012 for a year. So I think we are very proud of that program. We're one of the first libraries in Oregon to bring it to our patrons and their children. So. And that's about all we have to report right now. We're working on the state library stat report, and that's not due until end of October. And when we get that finished, we will forward that on to you guys, to county court.
So where is your conference this year, Mary?
It is in Albuquerque, New Mexico in September. It's going to be hot.
Mary, would you explain for those of us who are newer about the school IGA and how you serve the school?
So we provide about 10 hours a week of staff time to the school. So the school Usually it's the K through third graders who come in and sometimes the fifth graders. Last year we had the sixth, seventh, and eighth graders also. They come into the school library once a week to check out books. And when the weather is good, the older kids will actually walk down to the public library also. And we combined, we included the school library with the Sage library system, so we can actually get books from the school library out to the public also. And it's worked really well having it combined with the Gillum County Library, providing staff for those students up at the school.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions?
Committee.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you,
Mary.
Mary.
Thank you. And I'm about to get busy, so I do need to go.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 3.2, we have James Williams, Lake County Commissioner and Korea Executive Director regarding Korea mission and to educate us regarding Korea. Come on up.
Thank you.
Yes.
Morning.
Good morning. Appreciate you all having me and welcoming me here, and thank you, Judge, for putting me on the agenda. So on the agenda today, you have the mission of Korea. And unfortunately, there is no meeting materials because that is still actually being formed, or I should say being amended. And it's one of the reasons why I'm here, actually, as Korea continues to try to stay relevant and ensure that we're actually furthering the missions of the individual counties that are members of our organization and the association. We need to continue to have a conversation, especially as boards change, commissioners change, the missions of the individual counties may change, and we want to stay, keep our mission reflective of those, and at least in a most general sense. So I'm new to the role. I'm from Lake County. I'm currently a Lake County Commissioner, and I'm doing a lot of the Korea work part-time. We had a great legislative session. We had several bills that were successfully moved through before the legislature came to somewhat of a grinding halt. We're hopeful to have a good short session after this special one. And I guess as we continue to form what our energy strategy is going to be and what the strategy should be for local governments and Korea, we'd like to just make sure that the conversation is being had and that there's open lines of communications with commissioners and myself and the board of Korea. Korea, for those that don't know, is an ORS 190. It's an association, though, of not only elected officials and local governments and counties, but also of developers, irrigation districts, and large membership, although there's only a few that has a much smaller executive board. So I'll just that's a little bit of an overall. I'll pause if you have questions.
Korea stands for.
Community Renewable Energy Association, not be pronounced Korea. It's Korea.
Korea. Okay,
Did you question? Or?
no, go ahead.
Yeah, James, once again, thanks for coming. I guess with everything going on, some of the future for renewables, like we don't know where if the support's gonna be there for the federal. And I don't know where you find the time, but your crystal ball on what some of your thoughts would, or what you think about what the future is gonna look here shortly.
It's a really good question, Commissioner. There's several pieces to that, and if I may, I'll just parcel that out just on a high level. I'm not entirely sure that, based upon where we're headed into the future, that renewable energy needs to be subsidized to the degree that it is currently. So what happens at the federal level may or may not really affect us long term. What we know is that we do need more energy as a country, and we probably should be thinking about diversifying our energy portfolio as much as possible and keeping that energy generation as local as possible. So I think as we form the mission for Korea, I think we'd like to have the undertone be local grown, Oregon grown, however you want to say it, energy, so that the ratepayers per se in our communities and the constituencies that we all serve are not paying 3 times the rate per kilowatt hour in the future for electrons being floated out of Wyoming, so that we can grow those electrons as cheaply as possible, as locally as possible, and have a diverse grid that is not as contingent, not as dependent, I should say, on single resources. So I think we've done a lot, we've focused a lot in the past few years on what we call renewable energy. And that is translated into wind, solar, and what some might even call green energy. I'm not a big proponent of what we call green energy today. I don't know exactly how green it actually is, and I'm still struggling with that definition, especially when you leave out hydroelectric dams, or some people leave out hydroelectric dams. I think it needs to be part of the portfolio. I think that we should be thinking about all of these energy resources. This last session, there was a number of bills that pertain to SMRs, or small modular reactors. And Oregon, of course, has prohibited additional nuclear resources over the last, since really the creation of FSEC, which was a state energy siting council for the purposes of originally siting nuclear. And then immediately after it was created, the state outlawed the creation of additional nuclear resources. And then all of a sudden FSEC became unnecessary, but rather than do away with it, they just tasked it with siting solar, which is why you do noise studies for solar energy right now, if you go through FSEC. Which
The turbines.
and the turbines. You will do noise studies for turbines. It probably makes a little less sense for solar, at least to the degree that FSEC requires it at millions of dollars of cost, when it can be done much cheaper through the local level, which is another piece that Korea has advocated for, to see energy projects of any type go through the local level. We've expanded the footprints that can go through the local level, increase the acreages at the local level, and increase the amount of megawatts that can be sited at the local level through wind. We feel like that's beneficial for the communities, because you actually are able to hear your local constituencies, and the community has, I would say, the best chance of representation as projects are cited within your communities. And so we wanted to broaden those thresholds to accommodate larger projects at the local level, being that 20 years ago, 10 acres was considered large scale,
Yeah.
and that is no longer the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one on Shetland Flat is 1,600.
Correct.
My concern with the solar is the farmland that it's eating up. They're talking like 9,000 acres in Sherman County and 11,000 acres in Morrow County. And that's gonna be farmland they'll never recover. And I read somewhere that they were pushing towards not having it on land like that, make it be put on,
Unfarmable or,
yeah.
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 But they don't wanna do all the studies they have to do it's when they put it on tillable land, it's cuts down on the amount of studies they have to do on it. Because it's already been disturbed, so.
It's very appropriate
Right.
to have those concerns. And I think as a farmer myself, I have sheep, cattle, and we run over 1,000 acres of land. And some of the meadows that we run are the same grasses grow there that grew there 400 years ago. It's been untilled and largely untouched. And I think we'd like to see that landscape preserved. And I think many farmers feel the exact same way about the land that they feel in their soul they were charged to dress and keep. And I think we should think long and hard about the sacrifices we make with our farmland, which is a very precious resource where we grow the majority of the food, and the food's food, to be frank. I think I think with solar, the contention will continue to be there in the future about how we use our agricultural lands and how we prioritize those. I think but every county's different. And I think we should, in governance, it's a fine line, I would say, Commissioner, that of private property rights versus a vision for the future and making sure that we're not sacrificing appropriately and for the sake of the moment, per se. We have in Lake County, for instance, we don't have a very good wind resource. And I'll just use my county as an example, as I'm still an elected official there. Our wind is very inconsistent and very severe at times. And so it doesn't really pencil out for a lot of wind, which is why we don't really have it, but it has plenty of sunlight. It's 300 plus days of sunlight per year. And so a lot of landowners and farmers, especially when they're being limited by the government as to whether or not they can have water rights, they look to diversify. And they're looking to use some of their more bare scab land that they can't grow on. They have very limited AUMs. They're unable to graze it. And they're looking for alternatives, at least on portions of it. So I think there's going to be a balance on that conversation, but it's an appropriate one to be cautious of, especially with a state like Oregon that values its agricultural resources. We want to be thoughtful about how we proceed in the future. And I think as a final note to that, CREA does not really want to be seen as strictly a solar or wind advocate. We are branching out into these other generation resources to try to better understand them. We advocated and testified in favor of the small modular reactors and nuclear, which we actually took some heat within our own membership, or I should say, I took some heat within our own membership because that's unusual. We hadn't really done that before, but for the most part, they were study bills. And Oregon's not yet at the point where they're willing to allow individual counties to put measures on the ballot and allow counties to vote whether or not they want nuclear in their counties. Umatilla is, of course, moving in that direction, and they would like to do so. And I think that would open a door for additional counties that might be open to the idea to explore it. Technology is not quite there yet, maybe. There is great potential in small modular reactors for establishing base loads. I just finished a seminar and a study on fusion, and I had to chuckle slightly at the country of France that is very nuclear friendly, and they're exploring fusion. They have a fusion project that is up to $80 billion right now in investment, and they're still trying to achieve 5 minutes of consecutive power.
Wow.
So to give you an idea of, where technology is currently, we still advocate for the cheapest forms of energy generation that benefit the local community, hopefully, and they're not just being sold in PPAs out of state.
Right.
And although whatever's on paper, we can say that it's being sold in, say, Seattle, but the reality is electrons flow to the path of least resistance, and we don't know whether or not they'll ever get there. But it's additional power on the grid, and it offsets, and that's a big part of what we just want to ensure that smaller scale is considered. We believe that small scale energy generation is important.
Yes.
And we do not agree with the investor-owned utilities that small scale costs more, because small scale generation is set at an avoided cost rate that is set by the Public Utility Commission. And there's no evidence or proof to the claim that the investor-owned utilities have made that small scale costs more. But it does diversify local generation and accommodates additional projects.
Yeah.
Because I've heard they were considering putting a nuclear across the river from Boardman and then shipping it over to the port in Boardman to help power all the.
Yeah.
Yeah, data centers are an excellent way to use a lot of energy.
Yes.
They do.
And I'm not advocating against data centers. I think that I understand why they may be needed. I would go as far as to say that we're probably in the middle of an international arms race with several different countries to achieve computer power that that our enemies may be trying to achieve right now. So data centers are a big piece of that. The northwestern United States is being targeted for a lot of that expansion because unlike the Midwest, we don't have tornadoes every year that rip our transmission system apart. And we have an incredible resource of base load generation, hydroelectric dams that is unmatched elsewhere in the country. And I think it provides an opportunity of stable energy that data centers love. And that's why you're seeing a lot of that along the Columbia River and Snake River and so
And the
forth.
rock.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, and I think you guys, in your county also face some transmission shortage, but that is another thing that's
Right.
it's behind, and how they're gonna make it up or get there, I don't think anybody really knows yet.
That's a very good point, Commissioner. I would say there's a number of counties that find themselves, or at least find portions of their counties in what we call load pockets, where there isn't necessarily the drive for utilities to make additional investment for grid expansion. I think you see a little bit of it here in Gillum County, most likely on the southern portion of your county.
Yeah.
Where you don't have the transmission, so it's hard to justify the expansion of generation resources. That's a common theme throughout the state. Not to say that Gillum County's issue is less pertinent. But there's a common thread there, and it has become difficult to drive the expansion of transmission. We know it's needed. Transmission utility companies and investor-owned utilities especially are prohibited from making investment in their transmission that would be laid at the feet, or the cost would be laid at the feet of the ratepayers. So they don't build for projected growth. They try to build when the growth is actually needed and when it's necessary. It's also become more challenging for investor-owned utilities to raise the funds and the capital necessary for the grid expansion. With a lot of the wildfire liability, it's harder to find investors. It's more difficult to build those expansions. Where do you build them? There's a lot of, I would say, public concern over where those resources are placed, whether it be along a county right of way or not. Landowners and constituency and the general public have a legitimate concern as to where that build out is placed. So I think you're going to find a little bit of friction, I would say, in exactly how that's done in the future. I've spoken with some of the investor-owned utilities, and I would agree that it's not appropriate to have $10 to $20 million worth of damage from a wildfire on a utility easement, but have $80 million worth of pain and suffering in a lawsuit. That all transfers over to the ratepayers. And that hits their ability. It hits the ability for any kind of grid expansion, I think, is greatly needed in not only your region, but throughout the state.
Right.
Sorry.
Oh, you're
Basic.
um, to be able to accommodate some long-term goals and long-term vision for what SIP agreements need to be to best serve the counties and constituencies and the communities that are
Right.
ultimately making the sacrifices
Yes.
with their landscapes and so forth.
Mhm.
And so how is this benefiting the community? How do we ensure that we're capturing the benefit of these sacrifices and they're remaining and staying local? I really appreciate Judge DeBolskis and Sherman County's perception of, I want the switch in my office. And he, of course, says that somewhat jokingly, or at least I hope he is, that when we are building these resources within our county, and our community is ultimately building these projects on their individual privately owned land, how do we assure that our lights don't go out? If the goal is to power 400,000 homes, say in Portland,
Yes.
we should never have to consider losing our power
No.
so that someone can charge their Tesla in Portland. It should never be part of the equation. We should always be prioritized. And I think that's ultimately, if I could get at the core of what I hear from my constituents, as well as from folks around the state of Oregon, when I'm hearing some of the arguments against what we call renewable energy. And again, Korea is branching out to not just be looking at wind and solar, but other types of renewable energy resources. And we are supportive of hydroelectric dams.
Mhm.
I should state that just
Yeah.
clearly on the record. I think ultimately we just want to make sure that we're not losing track of that commitment, that investment, and that we're not forsaking our communities and the ones that we serve. We want cheap power. We want to accommodate good rates for the future. And that takes a lot of participation, a lot of involvement, and ultimately it requires us to be at the table. If you're not at the table, unfortunately, you're on the menu, which is why Korea spends a lot of time not only at the state legislature and listening to counties and listening to communities across the state, trying to understand what the actual needs are,
Mhm.
but also at the PUC. And we have several different UMs and dockets that we're participating in right now that we want to ensure that the IOUs are held accountable, that the community is getting the best deal, and that the ratepayers are protected. The utilities would say that that's their goal is also. Great, then I guess we have nothing to argue about.
Mhm.
So I guess that's
Yes.
kind of where we're coming from. The SIP agreements are fantastic because it provides you a little bit of certainty over those 15-year periods or however long you build those strategic investment plans, but they do sunset.
Mhm.
And it's fantastic to have additional SIPs that are staggered throughout the years and over time, keeping in mind that those sunsets will take place at some point. And the Department of Revenue is famous, not to throw them under the bus, but if I may, they're famous for devaluing projects without a whole lot of consideration or communication with the local governments that those affect. Those tax dollars stay within your county. They're supposed to. They serve your special districts. They serve your county general fund. They serve all your community needs. Those don't go to the Department of Revenue, but yet they're the ones who have the say over what those values are set at. I think there's a number of counties that would commiserate with you
Yes.
over how the Department of Revenue and the DOR devalue or set valuations on the centrally assessed properties.
Mhm.
Counties have the ability to take central assessment back, at least even on individual sites. But that puts pressure on your assessor's office and your appraisers. So it's something to consider, and there's probably some balance there. I'm not suggesting it, I'm not advocating for it. That's outside of my wheelhouse and outside of my lane. That's an
Mm.
individual county's choice.
Right.
It is something that Lake County has explored.
I didn't know this.
So it's it sometimes can make sense for counties to consider those things.
Mhm.
And how you assess those on nameplate capacity.
Yes.
Solar will decrease in how much they're able to actually generate over time and become less efficient. But once a site's installed, swapping panels out, once it pencils out, because you can produce 3 times the amount of energy on the same footprint of land, it might make sense to just keep that site going, not impact additional farmland, but to simply replace the panels and generate 3 times the nameplate capacity.
Yeah.
And build additional SIP agreements within that. Those are things to consider. You can also do pilots and the payment in lieu of tax agreements.
Right.
Build yourself, do both. Lake County has both. And Lake County brings in approximately about $900,000 a year in just solar. And that doesn't all go to the general fund, but it does benefit our local districts and the other smaller districts that ultimately have they have very limited resources and tax revenue. So those are things for all of us to consider. And I think it's great if you can have good SIP agreements that put you in a winning position. And if CREA can ever help in any way, shape, or form, we want to be able to do so.
That's good. Good resource. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I know, I wish when they would have put the 2 big gas pipelines through that we would have, if they would have had foresight to get some of that gas to our, cause some of them I think it's only about 5 miles from Condon,
Oh, yeah.
and it went right by us, and it
Yeah.
would have been great to have had that resource.
Could I ask the board a question on that? And I don't want to take up your time, and I certainly don't want to stand between you and the incredible and infamous Kimberly Lindsay, who was sitting behind me. Who was a dear friend and a wonderful advocate for Oregon. But on the gas line, was that strictly assessed by the Department of Revenue and there was no agreement of any kind ever put in place?
I don't think so.
I do not believe so, yeah, I think it just went through,
Right.
and they put
So utilities. So
They
yes.
put one in, and then I don't know if it was 10 or 15 years later, they put the other one in there side by side, so.
Right.
Okay, interesting. We have a
We might
natural
have-
gas line in Lake County.
Okay.
So I was just asking, just out of curiosity.
And it came in, does it service the cities and,
It
or?
does not serve anyone
Yeah,
in Lake County. It went all the way through, although there was a significant tax valuation
Right.
placed on it for a number of years.
And there will be property taxes, but
Right.
yeah,
to benefit for the.
Ours was significantly devalued. We had about 4 million in taxes that came in about 4 to 5 years ago. And currently we're sitting at about $336,000
It's why.
in revenue from that resource,
damn.
which is interesting. And as if I may, natural gas is a wonderfully dispatchable energy source. And if there's ways to utilize and leverage that resource locally, you should pursue it and pursue the state of Oregon to accommodate that process too, although they tend to push back against that. Natural gas is an amazing resource.
Right.
We should be considering it, and we do. And I don't want to spend too much time on the subject, but on Martin Luther King weekend last year, several, if not the majority of the gas lines in the state of Oregon were operating at about 118% capacity because they had a need for energy on the grid that they could not meet, even with the hydroelectric and solar and wind resources. Because during the winter, the frost limits how much energy you can produce from wind, and the limit of sunlight limits how much you can produce from solar. And there were some challenges with the hydroelectric. And so they leaned very heavily on natural gas. Natural gas got us through what would have been one of the largest blackouts in the history of Oregon in the northwestern United States. It should remain to be part of the portfolio.
Yeah.
And I think, we're looking at that, we're considering it. And we think that if you have kept resources like that are going through your county, why in the world isn't your communities and some of your urban growth boundaries able to leverage some of those resources? It gets complicated, but I think at a high level, I think it's a reasonable question to ask and something to advocate for.
Yeah,
So I think it's Trans-Canada that maybe comes through here.
A lot of
Yeah,
the natural gas.
think it
goes
is.
out of
Uh-huh.
Canada.
Goes through Lake County here.
Yeah, a lot of natural gas in Oregon comes out of Canada,
Mhm.
pass through, and we probably need additional pipelines, to be frank.
That's how I used to call it, like, hey, get me the pressure up.
Yeah. Turn 'em up.
So,
Well,
great,
thank you.
thank you very much. It'll be a great resource in a lot of different ways.
I'm gonna stick around.
Great.
If any of you have questions after the meeting, and I am not, I couldn't possibly miss Kimberly Lindsay's presentation, so I'm gonna stay. Thank you.
Thank you.
makes sense.
Okay. Kimberly.
Want to join me?
I don't know, how do you?
Yeah,
You're fine.
talk about being
I'm good. I
global.
was just not there. Thank you. I can-
Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for
It was
meeting
just
with me
right.
this morning.
Mhm.
And it was good time.
You weren't late.
Very good. I'm doing a dinner and an auction tomorrow night for the Boardman Food Pantry
Oh.
that burned down, not just me, a couple of friends and I. And at the end of July, I thought, oh yeah, I have plenty of time for this to. And then the last couple of days I've been thinking, what was I thinking? I'm really excited to do it, but I stopped off and picked up a bunch of things for the event. Okay. Anya said 20 minutes. Does that sound right? Okay, well, I like 5 minutes to please here.
Mhm.
I'm not confident though what the order is that you all have. So Leah, can you tell me what your order is?
Okay, so we have the customer satisfaction survey.
Okay, that's first.
See,
I did not print out everything.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because this was so large.
Some of it's
Medicaid
large.
impact
Okay.
summary was first.
200
Okay,
That's gonna be
Medicaid
very
impact summary is first.
Interesting. for
Okay, got
people
it.
to hear.
Yeah.
And then we have the consumer, the
Customer
CCS cert,
satisfaction.
okay? And is that it?
I think that was it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So the federal Congress and President authorized the big beautiful bill, one big beautiful bill that does have some impacts to Medicaid. So I don't intend this to be a political conversation. This is just a statement
Mhm.
of
Right.
the analysis of the impacts of this. And that way, when we get to 2027 and 28, where we start to see some of these impacts, there's no surprises
Mhm.
unless there are any changes that are made, and some have talked about possibly some changes being made. Okay, the short of it is in 2027 or 2026 and 2027, for the first part of 2027, we don't anticipate seeing a lot of changes at the local level or in the check that we receive from EOCCO, Eastern Oregon Coordinated Care Organization.
Mhm.
What's going to happen during those times is a review of eligible members. And right now, there's supposed to be a review that occurs annually to make sure that they're still eligible. That hasn't always occurred. It will occur now and will also move to a twice a year review. And so the savings comes from removing people that are no longer financially eligible. Okay. In 2028, we have 2 things that happen. The payments to Medicaid and Medicare are gonna reduce. So not just the review, but there is some reduction. And there is some cost sharing. And the most common, there's cost sharing in a couple of different ways, but the most common way is going to be in the form of a copay. So individuals that go and receive services for most of those services will have to pay, right now, it looks like $35. So that's 35 less that Medicaid pays. If Medicaid would pay $100 for a service, today they're gonna pay $65 for the service, and the Medicaid recipient will pay 35. So,
Okay.
that's, that we start to see that, it says 2028, it actually is slated to roll out towards the end of 2027. This, the second impact that says 2028, but really it's towards the beginning of 2029, is provider tax reductions phase in. It's weird that Medicaid is taxed, so, and I'm not gonna do the best at explaining this, but at the end of the day, James is on the EOCCO board. So
If you
the
need to take
state
a chair.
levies a tax, against the CCOs. So, if they give you $100, they give the CCO $100, the CCO has to pay a tax back to the state, and that's a way for the state to offset the cost. Kind of right with that?
Correct.
Yeah, so the amount that the CCOs are going to need to pay is going to increase. And that's gonna reduce the benefit to the recipients. Yeah. So I guess I said two, but between those three things, overall, we're looking at, by the time 2032 hits, we're looking at around a 30 to 35% reduction in the Medicaid benefit.
30 to 35%. Okay.
Yeah, that's not clearly stated on here. And, you know, there's no way that that would not impact services. We don't set aside 30 to 35% of the funds each month. And in Gillum County, we break even for the most part. So I'm not here with a doom and gloom message. I just wanna be candid and give you the information so that if things continue, you can, you know, we've talked about it, it won't be a surprise, and we could talk about what that would look like. And this is just for Medicaid. This is not the service element funds that come directly to the county. So the
Right.
Medicaid check comes to CCS. There's service element funds that come to the county that
Right.
get passed on to CCS. Some of those are block grant funds that come from the feds, and they've indicated that there'll also be reductions there. We haven't heard yet what that will be. So I do want to pause, because since Shane is on the EOCC board, EOCCO, did I miss anything around those Medicaid reductions that you're aware
Really.
of? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so more to come.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
Oh, it goes on page 2, it talks about work requirement, so
Yes, work
Okay.
requirements, yeah.
school or voluntary, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, the next document here, I go over this with you every quarter. We do a customer satisfaction survey. It is voluntary. The first several pages are the agency-wide results, and when you get to page 11, you have survey results specific to Gillum County. 14 individuals participated this year, or this quarter. Green is strongly agree, blue is agree, and then you have neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. You can see that most folks are happy with the services. Most are very happy with the services. The page 12 and 13 show you the results over time, where you're looking at last quarter of 2024, first quarter of 2025 compared to the second quarter of 2025. And I apologize, the results over time are going through page 16. And then page 17 are the specific comments that people wrote in their survey responses specific to Gillum County. Any questions or comments about that? Okay. And I think that's it for what's in your packet. Okay. And then Anya's, am I saying it right?
Yes.
And sent the other documents out. This one was pretty large, maybe good bedtime reading. I really believe that you should have the good, the bad, and the ugly, although there's no ugly in here. But you're contracting with us to provide a service, not just a service. You're not wanting just an average service, you're wanting a good service. You
Mhm.
should expect that of any contractor. And you should expect transparency. So that's why you got every single page that has all of the questions as well as every comment from every employee. Well, this is a really deep dive into how employees are doing. We take this information and we turn it into a strategic objective, or strategic objectives. I don't mean to put Chris on the spot or Judge Patton, I'm sorry, but, being on the board, you're familiar, you might remember our strategic objectives that we do. We do these every 3 years. We'll be taking this and probably will be developing about 4 strategic objectives specific to the results from this. There's 20 questions here. I'm tempted to go through each one with you, but I'm also thoughtful about time. Of the 20 questions, the last one is just fun. What animals carry their young in pouches? So 19 meaningful questions here.
Yeah, you really lost me when I was reading through it last night. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm not, I had to back up. I was like, yeah.
We had 460 employees at the time that we did this survey and 327 responded. It was voluntary. So that's good for a survey, 75% response. The pink and the purple are positive. The green is neutral. The yellow and the blue are negative. For all but 2 questions, most of the employees, 75% of those that responded, are happy with their employment at CCS. There's 2 questions where 50% were happy and 50% had concerns. One of those 2 that I'm remembering is around feeling overwhelmed at work. And it's not surprising because we have so many vacant positions. I don't mean to downplay it or to reduce. Yeah, I don't mean to downplay it. I just want to speak to that. We're cognizant of that and
How many
constantly working to
open
address that.
positions are there?
Just saw the one in Gillum, I thought.
Yeah, for the Arlington,
Yeah.
Arlington position, has been vacant for a while. And then we also have the school-based counselor in Gillum, here.
Okay.
But agency-wide, Judge Patton, we probably have about 50, 40 to 50 vacant positions.
Is it better? Have you filled some of, I mean?
You know, I feel like, I'm just being completely
Oh.
honest, sometimes I feel
Mhm.
better, like, oh, we're really making some headway, and then it feels like we
Okay.
sit back a little bit. So we've been at 15% or so for a while,
All right.
yeah,
Okay.
20%, yeah. Okay, so as you go through this, if you go through it, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, anything that you would like additional explanation on or want to specifically request that we do a deeper dive on, would love to hear your feedback. And appreciate that ahead of time. This next document's the local implementation plan. It used to be called the biennial local implementation plan. It's been statutorily required of the local mental health authority to complete a local implementation plan for years, as long as I've been here, since 1996, so it precedes that. However, it's been put on hold for the last 10 years. We haven't needed to do one, and there's a host of reasons for that. The state indicated that we were gonna need to do one again this year. It's fairly comprehensive. just want to say they sent it to us the middle of August and it's due the end of September. So I have
Wow.
some comments or thoughts about that. But we're in polite company here, so I won't share that. It's hard to do something meaningful where you're needing to interact with a host of community partners and put together a plan. So we are putting our best foot forward. I met yesterday with the Gillum Wheeler Advisory Board for a scheduled meeting, received good feedback from them. Also interviewing the people that we are seeing as customers to get their feedback. I would draw your attention quickly to page 5. Well, never mind, because you don't have it in front of you.
I'm looking at it.
There's several things that we need to speak to. A lot of it is a description, so please describe your current services and how you're delivering those. And we need to speak to them in specific areas. We need to also talk about the role of peers, how we will ensure that services are trauma informed, how we will ensure that services are culturally and linguistically responsive, how we will ensure good coordination of care from the Oregon State Hospital, other service providers, referrals, and so on. And then there's this needs assessment part that is on page 6 and 7. We need to describe the unmet service needs and critically identified areas in crisis and service integration and prevention and promotion, forensic services, residential housing, and block grant funded services. And how do we plan to address the needs and the gaps? Again, I did meet with the advisory board yesterday. We're soliciting feedback from other community partners in Gillum County. If you have feedback or areas of concern that you would like to see us address, please let me know. Just send me an email or give me a call. Things that came up yesterday were housing, was stigma, was outreach to the populations that maybe don't get out as much or don't have access to social media, such as our senior population. Continued work with veterans, addressing the crisis response time from which is the time that we receive a call, the on-call clinician, to the time that we respond on site. Sheriff Holmes talked about that as being a significant issue. He also was understanding that Mitchell is a long ways from Arlington, to use that as an example. So we have a good partnership, but that is a struggle. And that goes back to also to vacancies. So that will be showing up in our plan. I'm gonna pause there. And I also want to reiterate, this is the local mental health authorities plan. And I just knew that you would want me to do it. So I just started in on it and we'll have it submitted. You'll see it. I'll ask Judge Patnode to review, or I can send it to all of you before we submit it. Any questions or comments? That was a crash, of course, for what we've been
Do
working
you have
on.
any questions or comments about that?
I don't, I just, there's so much that you guys take care of and cover, and it's just, I can see it being a challenge and funding. I did have one, you were talking about the Medicaid, but nothing that you know of as far as from the state, real quick or foreseeable.
I think that there'll be reductions.
They're coming.
I would plan for that. So, like you hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Anybody watch Terms of Endearment? Shirley MacLaine said, and the doctor says, like, you can get away with that. You can say that. Anyways, I'd sure be surprised if there wasn't reductions. The state budget forecast isn't looking good. Oregon isn't well liked at the federal level. That's just a statement, like not saying I agree or disagree with the reasons for that. And I think at the federal level, social services are getting looked at. And so I would anticipate some reductions in funding, both from state general fund and from from feds. The block grant funds that come from the feds are significant. They are outside of Medicaid. They are what comes to the counties, and it's a match. So if you receive $100 in alcohol and drug treatment, for us to deliver that to the uninsured or underinsured population, 60% of that came from the feds.
Wow.
And 40% comes from the state.
Mhm.
So if all of that went away, we would, and Oregon didn't make any cuts in their portion, we would lose 60% of the funding that comes into
Wow.
the Gillum County. We'll see.
Okay.
See how it all plays out.
Um,
Okay, yeah.
Oh, the school-based counseling position, we may be able to put that on our website, if that would help you.
Yep, I'll email you
We could do
that
that,
today.
correct? Okay.
I will promise to have it to you by the end of the week. Do I send it to
Mhm.
Anya?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
perfect.
Mhm.
Okay. Am I close?
You're close.
I forgot to hit the timer for myself. The next
19.
document that Anya's included was our newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of partial to this, so if you have a second, if you had time to read it, that would be great. There are areas of opportunity for CCS, and we have some things to improve on for sure. It is nice, though, to talk about the things that are going well, and this highlights a number of things that we have in progress that we're really excited about. And so, yeah, if you have a second to take a look at that. Would also love to give any of you a tour of the children's program that we just completed, the residential program. We just finished building that in Boardman. We've been working on that since 2018 in different iterations. It was we were gonna purchase the Grass Valley School. Good thing we didn't purchase that.
Yes,
You remember
yes,
that?
yes.
And then what we looked at Sherman County, and then we moved out of Sherman and looked at Boardman, and that's kind of where it stayed, but it's
Mhm.
been a work in progress, so
Yeah.
really excited to see that building done. And then zero suicide, I talk about this every time I meet with
Mhm.
you because it's a super important topic. September is Suicide Awareness Month. You'll see some yard signs in Gillum County where we're encouraging people to call 988. It has the 988 logo and CCS's logo. We just dropped some of those signs off yesterday. And there have not been any suicides in Gillum County this year. Last year too. Okay, that's Kimberly's crash.
Mm. Thank you,
CCS.
Kimberly. Is there any questions about Kimberly's report?
I don't have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you all. As always, thanks for letting us.
We all learned
Be
in
your
county college
provider.
how important it is that you do what you do. It's an important piece of the whole wheel.
I think so, but I'm
Mhm.
kind of biased. Yeah, I think that as a community, we're only as strong as our weakest link.
Mhm.
And behavioral health is not political. How we
No.
treat people isn't political, and how your neighbor is doing is really important. And so,
Yeah.
to the degree that we can help each other out when we're struggling,
Mhm.
I think that's
Yeah. Thank you very much.
significant. Thank you.
Okay. In your packets, you have a letter. This is item 3.4. Secretary of State letter regarding Port of Arlington's failure to provide audit reports. We received a letter on the 26th of August. This was we weren't aware that we were involved in this process at all. This was new to us. But it relates to the Port of Arlington's audits for the year 22, 23, and 24. Not being reported to the Secretary of State's office, and there's a process which we outlined with the attached ORSs, so. And then also your response or your plan for remedying this.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
Judd Crowther with the Port of Arlington.
Yep.
I appreciate the county making this known to us. We immediately contacted Secretary of State, our auditor, and the county to try and sync
Mhm,
action plan to resolve these issues.
mhm.
Appreciate your that.
So are there any questions about it? Anything anyone wants to add at this point?
Well, I see that, you know, I don't know, I guess. There was just, you know, I don't know how the communications break down between the auditor. I don't know. I'm just shocked that kind of this predicament happened. It's unfortunate, but and then so there was a breakdown with the auditor and then the communication, I guess. Do we have any more to add on that? How that didn't show up, or we're not getting it from the state or the port, or
Yeah, we contracted with a new auditor in 2022. Well, back up in 2021, the end of 2021, the port was in a transition in the office staff.
Mhm.
And so there were 4 months there without staffing. And so couple that with solutions, CPAs let us know that we would need to get a new auditor, so which we did in 2022. We selected Polly Rogers and Company and got them started with documents, and they would, once in a while, they'd ask for some more documents, and we kind of assumed they were on course with doing the audits, and we kind of handed off that expertise to them. You know, we delegated to them to do that task.
okay.
And so, you know, hindsight, needing more oversight from myself to keep them on top of that and get it done. We have now provided all the documents that they need. They have pledged to complete that first year's audit by the end of October. We've shared this timeline with Secretary of State's office as well. And as I understand, their process is basically to make sure that we get on an correction action plan and make it happen. So I think we've done that timely, and we're on course now to, and I will say for the past 3 years, you know, we have a clear record, transparency in our financials, in our procurement, in our record keeping that should be clearer on those years. While we've had the consistency in staffing to have audit reports completed timely for those subsequent years.
The other question, in your immediate action plan here, you stated that there was a telephone conference with Amy John. Is that right? Correct? Yeah.
Yes.
And the corrective action strategy, and I guess my only question, I guess, I don't know if is there a plan for a written? I guess my concern is getting something from the state, possibly from Amy.
We did receive a email back from Amy John right after that.
Okay.
That phone conference that I could share.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to drive home is just knowing that feel that the court is aware that Amy is okay with your plan of action, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure there's communication and some kind of written documentation. To make sure that
all the communication here forward will CC her as
okay.
well as the county and the audit firm, and keep everyone in the loop. There will be bi-weekly check-ins with the auditor for those tasks to be performed. I will say the communication received back from Amy John at the Secretary of State office was very encouraging and understanding of how those hiccups happen and very much desiring to remedy them and solve the past delinquent reports that we had.
Okay. So there,
So are they thinking, because this auditor was the first year they've ever done your stuff, will the next ones go more smoothly since they
They should, initial audits with the new audit firm,
are
they
tedious?
just seek a lot of background
we know,
before.
So
That's
hopefully
should
your
go
next
quicker.
two will go in a more timely manner.
Yes,
It'd even be great if they were ahead of the schedule.
we were worried about you not receiving notices, so we did check with the Secretary of State's office and they had the address correct, so. I don't know what
Yeah,
happened with the
we asked her
multiple
about that
letters.
too. We did not get that July letter that she shared with us now.
Oh.
But the court did not get that July letter that was to come to us.
Yeah, I guess,
Well, okay, so my question is going to be. We've contacted our legal counsel to figure out what we have to do because the statute lays out what we have to do. Which that's why we included it. And it just basically looks to me like. We have to go through a series of gathering documentation. And then setting a public hearing. And then once you actually complete this, at the end of the public hearing, we can terminate the order to dissolve the board. Like I said, I'm shocked that this is actually the process that has to happen. I've never in all my years heard this, but it's pretty clear. And it made, I guess I want everyone to be aware that this is the result. We don't want to do this. This is complicated for all of us. It's not comfortable. So this is a responsibility of the county for every single taxing district that if they do not complete, so now we're checking with the Secretary of State. It's not a responsibility, but it's a lot easier to call and say, hey, you're 2 years behind than get 3 years behind and end up with this situation. So.
yeah, I understand what happened with some of the changeover and stuff, but it was just still really, really shocking and like I say, that letter to me, like the clock is ticking and we just want to make sure that we're going in the direction, everybody's going in the direction that we need to do to remedy this, but yeah, I just want to make sure that we have the any documentation needs to be passed on.
Agreed.
There's one piece that says that we need to develop a financial statement. So that's gonna be a question for us about how we do that. It's ORS 198350. So anyway, that's the details about what we have to go through with this. So
Yeah.
We'll be talking.
Thank you.
Okay, so right now there's nothing to be done, but once our legal counsel directs us about the hearing, then it'll just be a hearing that's kept open and then we'll have check-ins with you. Telling us the status, if you're on track.
Yeah, and I
Okay,
guess like I say, my immediate concern is having something from Amy. You know,
Yeah,
about,
I'll
make
share
sure
that letter.
Yeah.
When I get back.
I mean, I know you guys are working on it, doing diligence and stuff,
Mhm.
but just wanna make sure.
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jed.
Okay, also in your packet, under 3.5 is a treasurer's report for June and July 2025. And 4.0 consent agenda, we have 4.1, consider approval of regular meeting minutes for August 20th, 2025. 4.2, consider approval of bills pending review for August. 4.3, consider appointment of Judge Pat Otis as County Representative for Four Rivers Early Learning Hub Representative. 4.4, consider 2026 R2R grant submittal for Gillum County Public Library. Are there any questions about the items on the consent agenda?
What did What exactly does the Four Rivers?
Oh, the Four Rivers Early Learning Hub, we have, it is, our early learning hub. And they provide services to families, to the centers, for, children 0 to 5.
Okay.
And we need a representative on it. So I thought it would be a way for me to educate myself about the system. If anybody else is interested, they can put their name in. Are there any questions? Can we prepare for a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I will second the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay. Right. We have no items under unfinished business. New business 6.1. Discussion custodian position. Is Daryl gonna join us? Okay. Oh, he's online. Okay. All right. Daryl Hoteling, are you there? Okay. Maybe he's in the building, hopefully.
I was not
We'll wait a
getting,
few minutes.
I was not getting the same math.
Oh, you weren't getting the same math?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're looking at halftime to 3/4.
Mm-hmm,
Wages 30 to 34,820.
mm-hmm.
And then insurance benefits would add additional 1955. So oh, there he is. So I come up with 5435.
Salaries, taxes, PERS, and insurance. So it's the other things besides the,
They're all,
Hi, good morning.
okay, maybe it is off. We'll let him tell us and then Brooklyn helped us with the numbers, so.
Sure, do you want me to read off the consent agenda then, or did you just want one question?
but no, I was trying to
Do the math.
come up with your math on here and.
Gotcha.
But I see looks like the so the 3/4 position salary was 34,820,
Right,
and then with taxes, PERS, insurance,
it brings it up about
30.
70,000.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
35,415 plus the
Yeah.
34,820, is
Okay.
that right?
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Mhm.
Yeah, it's,
You were probably trying to include the insurance, but it must already be in the 35,415.
yeah,
Okay,
so,
got it.
okay.
Okay,
okay,
Sure.
morning. This agenda item is a discussion regarding increasing the current custodial position from 0.49 FTE to 0.75. The facilities department has been very busy cleaning and maintaining the courthouse, library, all county offices in Arlington, the bus barns, the Burns Park restrooms, and soon the transportation building, which we just got moved into yesterday, will be added to the cleaning maintenance schedule, and the road department has also requested more frequent cleaning. In the past, the custodian position has been a full-time union position, and it was changed to a part-time non-union when Herb started. He was on Social Security and really didn't want to go more than half-time. And since he's retired and we started the new position, I kind of blame myself because the judge had a discussion with me thinking if it would be a full-time or not, and it's really kind of spread out, so that we kind of come to a compromise where it probably isn't full-time. We could live with 3/4 time. Would be kind of ideal for all the extra things that we're doing. Plus, you know, I started thinking about, I'm gone about 6 weeks out of the year because I've been here so long, and it's just nice to have somebody to be able to fill in, and that's not just 19 hours. So with all that thought process with it, I thought I'd get the numbers and come to county court and see what you guys would think. And yeah, in order to accommodate the current cleaning maintenance schedule and add new duties coming, it would be beneficial for the county to increase it from 0.49 to 0.75, and I hope we can work out an agreement to amend this position as requested and look forward to any questions you guys have. So,
Mhm.
so shoot me with some questions. You have some.
We
Very.
also have the industrial park too,
Mhm.
right? Which
Right,
is-
I take care of the industrial park.
Mhm.
When we do rent the new
Mhm.
old wheat lab, we shouldn't have to clean that.
No,
this
they
time
should do it
unless it's a county
themselves.
entity, right?
But you have to mow, and you
Yeah.
have to mow Arden Hills, is that right?
Yeah, I take care of the landscaping for that,
Right.
everything external.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would assume with the wheat lab, even when you rent it out, I'll still have to weed and do the external and any maintenance that's required, so. Along with the,
I support it. I have mixed feelings about it because we have to, you know, we're adding the benefits.
Mhm.
But this particular position was a position, and I think it got changed for the individual who wasn't able to work the hours. The person who's doing the job currently is running most of the time. I mean, she's almost running, trying to get everything done in her hour. She's really hustling. So I don't think anybody should,
no,
We
and
haven't
she
given her a
doesn't
job
wait,
like
she doesn't
that.
waste her time.
No,
At all.
no.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely justified. We're gonna be adding the bus barn. Do you have any thoughts about it?
I don't have any problem with it.
I think it's the budget we were only.
Oh, and
It's that.
Mhm.
for future reference, we'd like to do these things at budget times. So we
Yes.
can incorporate them, but Brooklyn is aware.
And that's where I apologize, because we had a talk before the position.
Yeah,
Thought we could make it go, and I'm just, that's why I'm coming back.
okay,
It's pretty obvious that we should have done this before.
yeah.
but-
And there's a mechanism to adjust for it in the budget if we need to. Is that correct, Brooklyn?
Yes.
Okay,
We have multiple options there, so we can discuss that if the time comes, whether it's like an allocation transfer to
okay,
supplement. Falls into that category, but
all right. Right, so it's gonna be a matter of if he goes over on his bottom line, we just need to be sure that we have a way to accommodate that. Yep, okay. I'm comfortable with that.
Good with it.
Okay,
So do we need to approve the job
we,
description?
we didn't get to that point. We'll do that. We just wanted to talk with you, see if you were comfortable, and then we'll bring the job description back. Correct, the next meeting.
Sure.
Mhm. All right?
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Darrell.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is 6.2 discussion economic enhancement ordinance. Okay, we've discussed this a lot. I think it's, I think we're to the point of, we've given plenty of public input. Brooklyn, our finance director, put together some scenarios for you to review. What the procedure would be is if we amend the economic enhancement ordinance, we would do so, and there would be a public hearing held. And, but I just wanted to ask you, do you think we're prepared to make a decision about which scenario or an alternate scenario we craft the ordinance for, and if we're ready? And then propose the public hearing potentially October 4th. And this is regarding the early learning sustainability line item.
So so we have 2 more years of the six, right?
We have the year we're currently in and one more year.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so my preference would be to leave it the way it is for right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then during the budget next year, look at maybe some of the line items in the budget that maybe could be used to help support the early learning, and then maybe look at it next fall.
So you're proposing not doing anything right now? Yeah,
For right now.
okay. I thought of that too. And then I did. I thought, well, we could just wait this out, and then we'll have more knowledge.
Cause we know we have one
but-
year funding.
True.
We don't. I mean, I know there's some projects maybe coming down the pipeline,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think that. I mean,
Okay.
personally, I'm not ready for the change in it, but I think that during the budget, we could look at some of the unappropriated funds that have been sitting there building, especially in the economic enhancement ordinance. And have that discussion during the budget committee, and then if it still looks like we need to look at this, then we could do hearings next fall.
Okay, this was just a question. Are we ready to go? Or do we want to put it off? So. What do you
Because
think?
there may be other things we want to look at that
Mhm.
besides just the early learning.
Well, yeah, I'm not in a, yeah, we've got some time, I agree, but like I said, I think this is good that we've got the conversation going. I have some things that the way I'm leaning, but no, I think it'd be good to involve, we have time. Maybe the budget people, I've talked to a few people, but yeah, I just think it's something that we need to just fine tune. And I guess my thing is just trying to I just want to make sure we have a mechanism in place to do this. And
I have some other fears knowing about the federal government and the centrally assessed utilities with our property taxes. And I just worry about that. We'll know a lot more probably in a year, but we could find out we're in a lot worse position than we are today.
yeah, there's a lot of,
It's interesting what he said about that we could actually have that ourselves.
Yeah.
I just like-
We'll talk to the assessor's office about what that would entail. The overhead might deplete the benefit we get from it. I don't know. You could find a.
It depends on
Analyst.
what they come up for a figure when they,
Mhm. Yeah, interesting.
because
Mm-hmm.
you could probably, I mean, depending on where they land, you could maybe pay
Make up the
somebody
difference.
that.
It's a serious loss of local control. We have no control and it leaves us completely vulnerable at the very last minute. So it's
some unknowns.
it's scary. This is the
Got some unknowns.
lots of unknowns, yes. So
Yeah, I wasn't prepared to make this.
if we're,
I guess I just have.
go ahead, you make your comment because you had some thoughts as our finance director.
I think the conversations are going. We've been having these conversations now for 2 years at this point. And if we push off the conversations for another year, we're losing the momentum that we have going right now towards discussions. Giving these entities an answer before 1 year before they have to decide what they're gonna do. I think just leaving it during budget cycle, we're already discussing so much during the budget cycle that if these are discussions that can happen between now and the budget cycle, that maybe would be beneficial, but I don't want to lose the information and the conversations that we're having, as I feel has happened, conversations that happened in 2023. I mean, we're under new administration, we don't remember how those conversations went, so I fear that the same thing's gonna happen 10 months from now during budget cycle.
Yeah.
We're gonna be asking the same questions we've just been asking these last 2 months.
Yeah.
Visiting the same thing, so I just don't want that to get lost. And I want to provide them with a better idea than 8 months from now, this is your last grant cycle. I feel like the best thing to do would be giving them more time to figure out what they're gonna do in the long run.
Right.
And just saying, you guys have the grants for really 1 more year, because they've already gotten the grant for this year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's 1 more grant. cycle.
27
So we
cycle.
have that grant next year's budget cycle. That's just my input. is that I fear that if we keep tabling this and keep tabling this, that it's just gonna continue to be that.
Yeah.
And
Well, and I know that it keeps sounding like a broken record. But we had 11 million unappropriated in the economic enhancement fund. And now we're projected to have 13 million. So there has to be that conversation during the budget period, where we're gonna put some of those funds and use them instead of, I mean, we can't just, we just keep building it and building it, building it, and that's what it's for.
So is there an opportunity to have budget committee meetings this fall or this winter? Like, we don't have to wait until.
I do not know why we couldn't.
If we propose, or we at least have those conversations earlier on, I think that we're setting.
So we're
ourselves
not
up for
crunching
success.
down to budget time.
My concern is that's our nest egg, and if we have. But let's just take Kimberly Lindsay, for example. We're charged with behavioral health services and we don't have to pay for any of them. If something happened to that pot of money, we would have to put money in towards that. If there's something we're currently funding in the general fund that we could utilize economic development funds for, so that we're still on solid financial footing. Those are the things that I fear. With a lot of what goes
It
on.
also surprises me that, so with the public health,
Mm-hmm,
we need to
mm-hmm.
put into that.
Yeah,
It's kind of a state requirement.
right.
Why is it
don't?
not a state requirement that we put into the mental health?
Yeah, and that's good. We don't have to pay for it, but. Yeah, okay, yes.
I was just saying,
Mhm.
the concerns are valid,
Uh-huh,
and those same concerns are shared by us.
Yeah.
We Yet to feel the repercussions of what happened at the federal level and with the bill they passed through.
Yeah.
/ Head Start funding.
mm-hmm,
Right now, we're good. What worries me is that we will feel those effects right in time for us when we are diving into the endowment. And I just making sure that the nest egg of that is sustainable so that we are not depleting it too quickly. If there's funds left over, we can almost, with our county base, create our own universal pre-K system. Just like what Multnomah County is doing. We already do very low tuition fees for parents, and we could potentially lower those even further, if not diminish it.
mm-hmm,
But none of that can happen unless we don't start on the right footing. with
Right.
This endowment, and that is the biggest concern.
mm-hmm.
And I think that the North End isn't here, but I feel like they feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
We got ourselves out of the childcare desert status. And if we want to keep that momentum, we have to just be consistent
Mm-hmm.
with the care and.
And I don't think any of these. As long as the services that Gillum County has to provide are taken care of, because that has to be that has to be we have statutory requirements that we have to fulfill. As long as we have funding for that, I think overall, we have a general, I don't want to put words in either one of your mouths, that the 20% is there. You know, as long as we can do that. But the one thing I found out this last year is I thought I understood government finance, but I found out it's a lot more unstable than I ever thought. And that's all I have to say about that. Just because of what we've seen in the federal level, what we've seen about our SIP funds and the central assessment and all of that, and how those utilities are valued and how we have no control over it. So there's no, I'm not considering anything other than what we've already proposed, just what do we do with it? It's the same conversation we've had multiple times. So, but what do you think? Do you think we want to just wait? And have enlist the budget committee and have budget committee meetings earlier on in the cycle?
I don't know, I guess my feeling is, I would think hopefully shortly after the first of the year. Maybe some of these amounts that we're facing, like the
Mhm.
tax bill, some
Yeah,
of these other things, we're
Right.
gonna have maybe more of a sense of
Okay.
direction. That's my opinion,
Yeah.
but,
Okay.
and like I say, I just want to come up with something that. So we're working at it and this is
Mhm,
what we're gonna come up with, or,
mhm.
to try to get it
Yeah.
addressed.
Right,
So they settled on the Delta, so are the other ones not too far behind then?
probably not.
Yeah,
There's no time frame though,
yeah,
but it
They lost.
it leaned the
right?
way we wanted it to
Delta
lean.
lost.
Yes. Delta lost,
yeah, my
so
understanding is they cannot appeal, they're.
this should set
That
the
was their
stage
appeal,
for.
wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah, they
Right.
cannot, they're done. So,
Okay, so if it's a consensus that we hold off, wait till the first of the year, see where we're at. Then potentially hold some budget committee meetings if we can do so, to try to get the conversation started about where we go from here. And just enlist the budget committee. How's that?
And the public. And the public.
And the public. Mhm. Our SIP funds
With that
will
meeting,
be,
Will you guys reach out to me with any like proposals you guys would like prepared for that budget meeting?
yes,
To that point?
yes, yes. This for sure.
Yes.
Um,
There's ideas with
Yeah,
appropriated dollars and what I just want to.
especially looking at the enhancement fund, I believe.
The SIP funds this year, I believe it's this year, are gonna be 400,000 less. It took reading them and reading a fine print that it ended after so many years, which is this coming year, so. I can't remember what project that is. I've been on tag, but anyway, so those are things that happen along the way. With these agreements that we just need to be prepared for. So it'll be 400 less than it had been
So the
last year.
ones that repowered, does that SIP start as soon as they're done with the repower?
Yeah, so as soon as they, yes, I think it's once they're complete. Mhm.
Okay.
You
Wonder
can't
how close
actually,
they are.
that, they're working on Lean and Juniper 2A now, the SIP is on 2B. And they're gonna utilize the laydown yard, for parts, so those won't even start coming in till January. So
yeah, they won't
Mhm.
finish till
20.
next fall.
Yeah, 27, probably
That's what I was
27.
told.
Mhm. But that's a smaller project like Montag is.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So thank you very much. Thanks for all your work on this because we will
Yes.
rely on it.
Yes, please utilize them to guide your thoughts and
Mhm.
conversations that.
Right.
There in the winter.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we'll just,
So like a budget meeting for like
I'll reach out.
February,
Yeah,
okay.
January?
And that, we're already starting our normal budget meetings. I mean, our first compensation meeting was in January of last year.
Okay, how about January?
Start. I'll just reach out to the budget committee. and
Okay.
see if they're
Great,
winter.
good.
Okay.
Okay.
yeah, because hopefully we'll know some more.
Great, good. All right, updates? Anybody, announcements? Gillen County Fair was successful?
I think I have a pool meeting on the 16th. The Gillen County Fair was successful. There was a winner on your contest.
Yes. Mhm.
It was a really cool picture.
It is
The
neat,
Longhorns.
yeah. So any updates on the pool?
They're just going to,
Mhm.
yeah, they were looking at the sites the other day, weren't they?
Yes, they're gonna come back, the 16th and have another meeting with the committee. And so, at that point, they're hopefully going to nail down which site.
Yeah.
And so it's going well.
Mhm.
We'll see. We'll know how much it costs and how much it costs to operate.
Are they have they even looked at a plan, like, is it gonna be just a pool? Or,
Yeah, they've
At
they've
this
looked
point-
at plans.
Yeah, at this point, it's pool house.
okay, but not anything like you know, add-ons, I guess I would say.
No,
Okay,
no, yeah, I mean, obviously parking, everything will go
Mhm.
along with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, it's open to the public, so I don't have the plan yet,
okay,
but, September 16th.
thank you.
They were looking at the, above where the baseball fields are,
Mm-hmm,
and then towards the old grade school site,
mm-hmm,
so.
okay. The East Side Industrial Park, the agreement is virtually complete. The attorneys have met on the phone. This is Avangrid for their wind parks. So for Lean Juniper 2B. So, that agreement will be presented on the 17th. The next meeting is the plan. So that will be in place. They're gonna fence it. They're gonna improve the, in and out, and, then everything else will be portable. But, it's a nice offer, their agreement. I don't have it in front of me, but. BEAD funding, we're waiting, to determine if we've been awarded anything from the BEAD funding. That goes into the, follow-up on the South End Rural Fiber that Rally Networks presented to us. I contacted Jonathan Cannon to find out if how he's going on the mapping, because he's gonna provide a map for us of what places that the fiber will go to that will be the minimal fee. And they're working on that mapping, so we'll know who has a $50 hookup and who's gonna have more extensive hookup. So that'll be good information for the people. There was a visit from Congressman Benz here earlier in the month, and Medicaid concerns were a topic that we discussed. We went over to Summit Springs Village, and Hannah and I, the congressman and his chief of staff were there, and Hannah has probably already done it, put in writing her concerns about Medicaid and how that will impact the assisted living facility. The bus barn's complete. Did you want to say anything about the bus barn being complete?
Yeah,
Okay.
we toured it
Uh-huh, yep,
Wednesday.
yeah.
Yeah, morning.
Mm-hmm.
Are they gonna wait on the crack just to make sure it doesn't?
What they're gonna do, there's two large cracks in the floor, but they're gonna pay at the contractor's expense to fill the cracks. And what they're saying is that this happens, there's no structural concern, but they're not gonna park the vehicles in there until those cracks are filled. And it's safe to put vehicles in there, so.
It'll be safe, but
Mhm.
I just wondered if it would keep.
I
If
asked
they
that.
needed to wait till it
Mhm.
totally settled before.
Right. I asked Jeff, I bugged him quite a bit the Thursday affair about it and was concerned about signing the completion certificate with this, but he assured that this is common. It happened at Arden Mills. And they repaired it. It's a very similar situation happened, and it's lasted for years and years without any problems. So, yeah, I guess we allow the experts to guide us on this.
Yeah,
What do you think? Do you?
yeah, it's not uncommon.
Yeah,
I just wondered if they would wait until cause if they go in there and fill it and then it keeps
right.
cracking, then.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they just wait until they know it's
We might-
totally settled and then
Yeah.
fix it.
If you want to talk to Jeff about that, feel free.
Okay,
Just to be sure.
I'll ask him.
Yeah,
Now you're talking about Jeff Shaw.
I'm sorry, Jeff Schott, Jeff Schott, not Jeff Boyer, but, they did concern me. They worried me. But I was told structurally they're okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, Arden Mills, it did kind of look pretty bad there for a while, but they sealed it and they've been running forklifts on it for years, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I just know somebody told me that, you know, if it cracks, then sometimes you wanna wait till.
mhm.
Yeah,
It's
I would imagine when
totally
they fix it and
settled
seal it,
before
they'll
you-
probably give it a week before they move vehicles in. I
Yeah,
don't know about the time frame, but I don't think they're gonna move right in the next day or.
yeah.
Well, I wouldn't think it would hurt on it's kinda goes in between.
It's where the beams
bays.
are.
It's not
It's like,
really,
yeah,
yeah, it doesn't run where the vehicles would actually be
Mm-mm.
parked, so.
yeah. Mm-hmm. So same concern. I just noticed that two of the companies that contract with Gillum County, Kirby Nagelhout and Blue Line, supported our Gillum County Fair in a big way, and I thought that was a nice way for them to give back. So it was good to see.
Yeah.
And EDP Renewables, yes. They were good supporters. I have the draft back of the waste management host fee agreement from Waste Management, so I'm just going through that today and hopefully have it back to them by the end of the day. So that we can get going on that. We did receive the release of covenant on the grade lab. So we have the document.
Yay.
Finally, after a year. But, we need to reach out to legal counsel because it has to be recorded. We just need to make sure that the end of the process is complete. And then we can advertise for rent.
So it has to be recorded at the clerk's office?
Yes, mhm,
Okay.
yeah, because the original covenant was, so the release will have to be as well. there's a letter that came from Senator Wyden's office asking about whether we had any concerns or input regarding the senator writing a letter of support for the Tidewater barging fertilizer on the Columbia River. But it sounded like Shaver is the company that typically goes this stretch. Okay, no objection? Okay. All right. I had a call with Senator Wyden's office about seeing if there's any congressional money to gap fund the Early Learning Center for any reason they don't receive some of the foundation funding they've applied for. So we have that request out there. The Early Learning Center provided a really nice one-page narrative, a budget, and we provided photos so that they could see what the project is. So I'm gonna follow up on that in 2 weeks, and they're reaching out to Senator Merkley's office also to see what we can do. There's no promises, but we just need to try whatever we can do to get that project complete.
So did Cliff Vance, did he tour the projects?
He didn't tour that project. No. Kelly Nonprofit, they came and did an outreach for nonprofits here in Gillum County, and I sat in on the Conan Scholarship Foundation meeting and saw the work that they're doing with them. Attended the Early Learning Center meeting. There's going to be a new process for foreclosed property, which I might talk to you about that if you have one in place yet, or any other counties where I know everybody's just trying to figure it out. It's completely different. There will no longer be sheriff sales. Is that correct? Okay, I think we're gonna have to go through a realtor now to sell any foreclosed property. So
Depends on the valuation.
depends on the value of the property. So it's all new. Came out of legislature. The transportation bill is passed the House. It's held up in the Senate. Help me with this one too. I think the 17th of September is when it'll go to the Senate because they didn't have a member had a medical.
They delayed, there's a medical issue.
Yeah,
They
so.
delayed 2 weeks.
So that's where that is. Wolf Committee, I think we have our members figured out, but we just need confirmation from one person. So that's what I have.
And that's only if we have an issue, right?
Well, if we have an issue, but the problem is if we had a big issue, we need it in place now so they can operate, so you have your bylaws and everything all in place. So they're ready to fulfill the requirements of the statute by already being in place. I think we would be really behind the 8 ball if we waited until we had a loss.
Yeah. They're
So-
here.
Yep, they're here. Anything, Commissioner Wilkins?
I might not be at the 17th meeting,
Okay,
because of my wife's surgery, so. I don't know, you gonna be there?
Yeah.
Okay,
okay,
nothing's, it's scheduled, but who knows? So
okay.
I'm just gonna give you a heads up, and, I'm gonna try to get with Dewey and Mr. Hosapple and Alan at the landfill. Hopefully September, August, just gonna get everybody to the same page, so,
Good.
but that's the other thing. It's
On the
my-
road,
Yeah, yeah.
relocation.
Yes.
Okay.
Korea's canceled this Friday, so, yeah, and Norcore's coming up on fun. That's all I got.
Okay. Is there anything else? Our next meeting is September 17th in Arlington at the Gromquist Building. There's no further business. This meeting is adjourned.